So, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Dungeons & Dragons: The Second Age. How are we all?
Oh,
Good.
I feel like it's been an age.
It's been like
really
2
last
weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks is a long time.
We can't say that when we were gone for like 9 months.
Yeah.
What do you mean we were gone for 9 months?
Didn't we sort that out last time saying
Yes.
that?
Yeah, we did. I'm just
We're
being
original, it's
dumb.
fine.
We're original.
I was about to
We
say
don't
I'm just
produce
pretending that we were
jokes
stuck in a time loop, but I wasn't even doing that, so...
Okay. So, to jump back into the game, who would like to do me a brief recap of everything that happened to you all in the last session?
Let's see. Well, I think it's going to be a slightly combined recap. We started off in our new built keep,
Yes.
where we were training recruits and stuff. When we got a message from a royal, what are they called? Messenger.
Yeah, a herald.
A herald that invited us, offered us a I guess it's basically a bounty.
Yeah. You were told of the potential for a contract.
Which required us to go down to let me find the name again, to Helm's Blessing.
Indeed.
Where we
Over here.
got like a briefing on what was missing, and we are saving a princess.
Yes.
She got kidnapped.
Goblins and trolls, oh my!
Oh my.
Ogres, not trolls.
Yeah, ogres are worse than trolls. Aren't
Are
they?
they?
Actually?
Debatable.
Depends on who you ask.
If you ask someone who, likes fire, then maybe not.
It's fine. Yeah. Oh, following that, we got there. There was another mercenary group who tried to mess with us. We did not get messed with properly.
We kind of messed with a little
I mean, I feel pretty messed with.
Well, we
people
overcame
in
the
group got
messing
messed
with. We overcame the obstacle. It's fine.
Got there in the end. But it was a moment there in the middle.
There's nothing wrong with a little bit of romance.
It ain't.
In it, if
Oh.
there is, if it's an unnecessary and forced subplot, which it very much was.
Yeah, that definitely was.
Oh, it's fine.
No one likes an unnecessary romantic subplot.
But yes, up on up on the next morning, we decided to set out to the spot where the princess was kidnapped. We did learn a few things before we went, like for example that a lot of stuff was left behind, and that she basically just vanished, just together with her guard and handmaid.
Handmaiden, yes.
Yes. And yeah, there's basically no tracks left when we got there, and yeah, and then I think once we got there, we didn't. Well, no, we did find one thing. We found an amulet of charming. I believe it was
Yes.
a brooch.
A brooch of charm. Yes, which was seemed to have been deliberately, purposefully buried in the mud.
which is a little weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
You might call it
Suspicious.
suspicious. Yeah.
We haven't quite figured out what's up with that yet. So we looked around, saw some smoke, in
Arya
distance.
climbed a tree, right?
Yeah, it's Well, was Grim's suggestion, but Grim was not going to climb a tree.
Yeah, Grim is not a tree climber.
It's fine.
Just throwing that out there. Grim does not climb trees.
No.
Well, no win on
Write
this.
that one down for the books.
Like,
Grim
the only
is not
thing
a
he
monkey.
doesn't do is fly brooms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. But, well, we went to the cabin. Arya, well, we were still, like, hidden next to the cabin. And Arya's trying to sneak around and
Yes.
observed an incredibly long piss.
Yep.
I did, as a punishment for my shitty stealth roll. That was
Wow.
still a natural 19.
Yep.
It's fine.
It's not natural if it's after a load of buffs.
Excuse
Fine.
me, sir, ma'am.
The whole point of calling it a natural 20 is that you know, the dice said 20.
Anyway,
Yeah, the dice said 19.
actually no, the dice said 1, and then
Dice
you
said
added a bunch
1,
of stuff
and
to
then
it.
you added a bunch of stuff, yeah.
And said, "Fuck you."
The dice said 1, and then you added 18 to it.
Anyway,
Nitpicking.
semantics.
Fine.
Yes.
I cannot pick it. I am that.
The last thing that happened is you guys were inspecting this cottage that you found to be slightly unusual, and upon using minor illusion to make the sound of a roaring bear, Arya managed to duck inside the cabin, followed very closely behind by the woodsman who seems to live here. As he didn't fancy hanging around outside when there might be a bear. Currently Arya is pressed up behind a cabinet while this guy walks around inside his house. So, cohort of the Amber Eagle, what do you want to do?
I think the real important question is, how much have we as observed as not being Arya?
From your standpoint outside in the loitering on the tree line, you watched as Arya slipped inside the building, and then the man, quickly gathering up his axe and the wood that he'd just chopped, stepped inside as well. And that is the last that you saw.
So we have not actually seen anything that indicates it'd be anything of a threat.
No.
I feel like the concern is going in and then messing up Arya's ability to not be seen and noticed.
Oh, I was thinking, like, considering there doesn't seem to be anything to be found, we might as well just knock on the door and say hello, and ask.
I don't think approaching's a good idea.
What's the worst that could happen?
A lot of things.
You know, I die, you die, we all die.
We'll be fine.
I
definitely.
doubt this guy will. Like, if this guy goes inside for a bear noise, I hope we can handle that. If
Actually, no, he's not going inside because of a bear noise, because there's someone inside who would very much like to take on a bear. Can you see inside that house?
I feel like you're being a bit paranoid here.
So, whilst you're having this discussion outside, Arya, you are currently pressed up against a wall so as not to be spotted. The woodsman sort of puts his axe down and from beside the door lifts up like a wooden door bar and puts it across the inside of the door. Before sort of turning away from the door and stepping into the room. He does not see you. You are still concealed for the moment. But it will be very difficult to move anywhere in such a small space without being spotted.
Can I see anything of interest?
Give me a perception check. casting a sort of a glance around the room, everything within the room appears to just be as much as you'd expect for a woodsman who lives on his own. The place is not fantastically tidy or well kept in any way. The remnants of a sort of a mid-morning meal seem to have been left on the table. A single ceramic plate and a heavy wooden mug. The contents of this room seems to double as sort of like a kitchen, dining room, living space, and there's a doorway off to your right that seems to lead into another smaller room in the back that you presume to be some sort of small bedchamber. The door is ajar, but there is like a draft curtain down in front of it to sort of keep out the cold. Do you do anything, or do you just remain hidden?
Just remain hidden, I guess, for the moment.
Okay. So the rest of you outside finish your conversation. Are you doing anything?
Well, unless they make a valid point, I feel like I don't see a reason why not to approach.
Okay, what if your knocking on the door causes him to turn in such a way that he ends up locked eye to eye with her? Could just make things worse.
I mean, that's a possibility regardless, and
Yeah.
actually Grim's right, we might give her a chance to move around if we get his attention focused in, I guess, towards the outside.
Well, you can't just walk up and knock on his door. You've got to,
Sure we
say
can.
something. Yeah, but we've got to have a plan of what we're going to say.
We're traveling.
Well, we're just
Saw a
we're
cabin.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what's happening in the local area because, well, goblins and stuff.
Okay, good point.
So let's just head over.
Okay.
Well, I'll stand by the bushes and pretend to be looking for stuff.
Sure.
Okay. You
Yeah,
sort
I'll
of
pretend to stand watch, looking around as if looking for goblins.
Okay. The other two of you walk up to the door and rap quite heavily on this door. Arya, from inside, you watch as this guy sort of perks up at the sound, turns around, and sort of under his breath in common just sort of says, "What the hell?" Sort of walks up to the door, lifts the heavy door bar, shoves it to one side, sort of opens the door just a crack, like peers out, sees the two of you, and just sort of like,
G'day, sir. I hope we're not interrupting anything or intruding. However, we were hoping that you could help us with your local knowledge.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Yes. We are from the Amber Eagle. We are. I am not sure if you've heard of it. I assume you have. The princess is missing, and we.
Jesus Christ, Grim.
He just sort of like as you're saying this, he's just sort of like shaking his head, like, no, sorry, I not heard this at all.
Well, that's fine. Well, we were interested if. Well, we have reason to believe that they came to this side of the river, and as a local.
Oh, you mean the princess from up north?
Yes.
Oh, I was confused for a moment. I was
from Helm's Blessing.
Ah, okay. I see where this is going.
Yes.
Just come inside for a moment. There's some less than friendly wildlife outside. Please excuse the mess. He sort of says, just like sort of like starts pushing things off the table.
Oh, it's no big deal.
It's like our place is probably worse. Don't worry.
Yeah, probably. Actually. Well, I don't know. Vondel probably keeps it pretty, like, tidy, I'd imagine.
I know,
Yeah,
but like
Vondal doesn't like
we just-
unnecessary mess.
Just we want to comfort the man.
Yeah.
Who cares if our place is tidy or not?
Oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah, while you're overhearing this conversation, do you move in any way?
Yeah, can I get in? Is there like a better hiding?
The best hiding spot that you could possibly find would probably be on the other side of the curtain in the bedroom.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Okay. Make me a stealth check.
Okay.
Okay.
Still not great,
So,
Jim.
You
But
are
I
you are
have to-
you still have pass without a trace, so it's technically a 22.
Yeah.
So, as sort of Grim and Clara sort of step into this room, you cast your eyes about for Arya, but she's nowhere to be seen. And yeah, Arya, you, like a shadow, slip behind the curtain and are in a small bedroom. And by small, I mean there's a bed in here, there's a small wardrobe, and there's not much space to move around.
Okay.
There is basically like above where the bed meets the wall, there is a small thin slit that sort of like leads out into the or like has been bored into the wall like an air vent for the room. Probably about like the you could probably stick your arm through it. Yeah, the two of you sort of step inside. Elizabeth, you're left just outside, like looking through a bush, and just look up, and the door closes behind you.
Yeah. Someone's gonna stay outside and make sure nothing bad happens.
Okay. The man sort of puts the wooden bar back on the door and sort of says, "Well, not sure how much I can help you folks. I'm Nota, by the way."
Oh, I am. Just call me Grim. Quagrim.
Grim. That's a curious name.
Uh,
Sort of offers his hands
Well, I would like. It's just the easiest way.
We'd
like,
be here
I
for a
wouldn't-
while if he listed all his names.
Yes.
You have a
yeah,
lot of
like-
names.
Well, I say of course, but if you're not familiar with gnomes,
Oh, you're a
we like our
gnome.
names because, well, like my actual name is Dorbus Quagrim Alsprin Frosher
Here we go.
Everett Daemaris. But saying
Kelariis just slowly puts her head in her hands, like, oh god.
You're
I
right. That is a
finished
lot of
that.
names.
Grim
Yeah,
is easier.
Grim it is then. Forgive me. I've never met a gnome before.
Oh, don't no worries.
Don't no worries.
No worries.
Don't know
No,
sentence.
don't worry. Don't worry.
Don't know
worry.
sentence.
Look, it's fine.
He
My name is Kelariis. She like puts I put on a hat.
he shakes your hand. He's like, "Oh, firm grip you've got there." Um.
God.
So, some princess is missing, huh?
Yes. Well, don't worry, we don't expect you to, well, do much really. We're just hoping you would, be able to tell us if there's any areas, like you would usually watch out for goblins, or if there's anything else in the area that you think is worthy of note.
He sort of nods to himself and says, "Oh, yeah, well, stay a long way away from the mountains if you want to avoid the goblins. They don't tend to stray far from the mountains unless they're on one of their hunting parties, and, you know, then there's usually some trouble going on. Never bothered me this far out, but I steer clear of them where I can."
Well, it's good to know that they don't usually show up here.
Well,
As
as for other dangers out here, I'm afraid it's not the safest place in the world for a highborn, at least. Wolves, bears, all sorts of animal species that are. Some of them will tear you apart, and others will leave you alone. But
yes, we generally try to leave the wildlife alone, but I guess whilst we're going through here, is there anything you in the area that you have any problems with? Aside from the bear that we just heard?
Can't say I've ever heard a bear this close to the cabin before, but if you see him and don't fancy shooing him off, I would be appreciative. Can't exactly pay you for it, but
Oh no, like we'll just do it as well,
Take care
gesture,
of
a friendly gesture.
Yeah.
You're willing to like provide us with the help you can, so I think
The least
we
can do
will be able.
is chase off a bear.
well, that's more than most people would do. So consider myself appreciative of that.
Sweats.
It's not like we
This is the easiest quest ever. Chase off a non-existent bear.
Fine.
Meanwhile,
You're welcome,
I've broken
guys.
into this poor man's house.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So it says, well, yeah, it's safe to say, it's not a lot I can tell you. It's a quiet life out here usually. The only people who tend to bother me out here are the people from the south village just down from here. Tend to come on out, buy some wood, then head back. That's about it. Although this woman you're looking for, the princess, what does she look like?
Like, what would best
Describe the projection that we wish her.
Okay.
I
You
feel like
you give a description. So it says, I guess not then.
What do you mean?
I just been seeing this woman coming to and fro in the woods. Doesn't exactly come and stop by, so I've just only ever sort of seen her at a distance. She's a darker skinned woman, short hair. Can't tell whether she's a human or an elf. Sometimes she looks like an elf, sometimes she looks like a human. It's yeah.
That
I
sounds
just
big.
seen her around a lot. I thought maybe it was her, but
interesting to know, but well,
Did you only start seeing her recently, or?
yeah,
Like
about a week or so ago. She might have been around before then, but if she was, I didn't notice. But seen her a couple of times in the last couple of days.
in a
Usually
particular area. Oh, sorry.
Usually just down by the south road, right on the edge of the bit of woods that I look after. Usually early morning or later in the afternoon or the evening. Seems to be coming up from town and headed north and then coming back towards the evening. That's all I've really seen. I've sort of waved and said hello sometimes, but I don't think she sees me.
that's strange.
Yeah, it's not as strange as you might think. Some people have jobs out here, myself included.
That's very true.
Well, sorry, that's the only thing I can think of that's been unusual of late.
Well, that is more than than I expected, to be honest. So, I'd, yeah. So I guess we'll, if you don't have anything else, I guess we have a bear to chase off.
It's all I've got, I'm afraid. I don't often get quite so wholly armed visitors out here. It's
Oh. Well, there is one thing that, like, you might, that we didn't quite tell you about, but, like, you have nothing to worry about, as we were not quite
No.
aware about the
Grim!
cabin.
Grim, do not.
Oh god, Grim.
You may not have noticed our other friend who was also in the cabin.
Grim, what are you
Say
doing?
it.
Why would you
Look.
say
Why would I not? Like, this is a friendly man.
that?
Oh no.
It's like,
You could have just
it's-
left. What he doesn't know can't hurt him.
you know,
so
but what-
he's sort of like looking at you quizzically and like looking around like, what?
Arya?
Oh my god.
So
I
What-
guess
while
I'm
it-
gonna come out of...
while this conversation has been going on, what have you been doing?
I guess I've been looking to see if there's anything I can see in the bed. Assuming
Uh,
the answer is no.
Give me an investigation check.
I just can't believe you fucking blew my cover like that. God.
Okay.
It's such a Grim thing to do, but like, god damn it, Grim.
Yeah, you sort of like you very quietly sort of like open up the small wardrobe. Like there's a handful of like woodsman's clothes in there, in sort of like various states of repair. You sort of toss the bed, nothing of note. Going over his sort of like table of like belongings that he's got by the side of his bed, there's like a small candle and what looks like a brass ring. But that's about it.
Is there a way out of this room?
Other than the door that you came in through, not really. Unless you use some other method of getting out of places.
Misty Step is not a cantrip.
It is not a cantrip, it's your once per day racial ability.
Oh, well. Well, if I don't see anything interesting, I'm just gonna about.
Okay. You sort of like crane up to look out of the vent so you have line of sight and then just go shoop.
Yep.
Does it have any verbal or somnatic components for this for Misty
I
Step?
don't believe so. I think you
I think
just
it
do
I think it has at least one component.
I think it's verbal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Misty Step is verbal.
Okay, so give me a I guess give me a stealth check, but I'm not going to give you the benefit of pass without a trace on this because yeah, pass without a trace does nothing to conceal your verbal components.
Ah!
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Arya.
Okay. So you choose a moment
26, baby.
when Grim is talking and just go, just, and so, Grim, you sort of
Me,
you
bitch.
start saying this and then nothing happens. He's just sort of like looking at you oddly, like what other person?
Oh, I guess we missed her going out again.
I
I
look at
gonna
Grim
think I'm
like-
invisible.
I know exactly what Grim's saying, but I'm gonna give like the most quizzical look as if like trying to be like, well, what the fuck are you talking about, buddy?
Well, don't
Trying
don't
to play
worry
it
about
off
it.
for the sake of this poor guy who just lives
He-
in a cabin.
Don't
He's
don't
just-
worry about it.
He looks around the cabin like with the eyes of a man who's just been told there's somebody else in his house that he
Oh
didn't
my
know about.
God.
And he's just sort of very slowly stands up and says, I think I'd like you to leave now.
Yeah, that's
don't
fair
worry.
enough.
Yeah. I'm sorry. He sometimes says things that I don't particularly understand either. I just give Grim the dirty look.
Yeah.
Wow.
Give me a deception check, because that's not entirely true.
I mean, it's.
I
half
mean,
true.
I think it's pretty true.
Yeah,
I
but
love
not
how
for.
he tried- I love how he tried to defend
fair.
it's not entirely true by saying it's half true.
It's. Oh, okay.
Like
That's
literally
Okay.
proving his point. Oh, right.
That's
man.
fine. We're gonna leave
Oh.
anyway.
Yeah.
This isn't me trying to like not get us to leave. This is like as we're going out kind of thing.
He lifts up the door bar very hastily, puts it to one side, opens the door, and very
Poor
poignantly.
guy.
I know.
Well, as not to leave a sour taste in your mouth, I'll give him a silver.
Okay,
Like,
you just you like leave the coin on the table, and he just sort of like eyes you as you leave.
Wow. God damn it, Grim.
You like step outside the door, and you just hear from inside. Anybody else?
Oh, no.
Why did you have to do that? It would have
Wait.
gone so well.
Like there was nothing there that could have happened. It was like just by calling you, I was like,
You scared
nothing.
this poor man.
If you had
For
showed
reason
up, he
after
would
he-
have been fine. He would just have
I
been
don't
like,
think he
He
would
gave us-
have. I think he'd still give a shit if Arya had showed up.
Yeah, but like I was thinking like this way. There's it's almost impossible for Arya to get out. So I was like, well,
Here's
I'll
the
just
thing.
give her the easy way out.
I understand why you did that. Kelariis thinks you're a fucking idiot right now.
It's fine.
I get it. I understand.
Oh,
Oh god.
Okay.
Fuck's sake.
Oh.
well,
It's like when we're a little further away, I'm like, really? Could you
Well,
not just let her get out on her own?
Arya just like jogs up behind you guys.
And then.
And
Well,
I'm
it's not
like,
like-
Grim, what the fuck?
we're
What?
groups
What
for a
happened?
reason.
What did he do?
Look,
He told the guy I had gone into his house.
Do you? Okay, people ask me this all the time, so it's really ironic that I'm having to ask this. Do you think before you talk?
Oh,
course.
he does.
like that's the
He
thing.
does.
That's the problem.
People just don't agree with how I think.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I just think maybe we should do our best to not be around this poor man's hut anymore. Or cabin.
Yeah, let's just leave him alone. He seems like just an honest workman living his life.
You turn around, and he's just like peering at you through the window.
Poor guy.
I wave. Really?
Jayla.
I'm
Wow.
sorry.
He just like leans away, and the curtains are just pulled too.
Yeah, that's fair.
Can you make a scared bear noise or
No!
Don't let that be. We're just not gonna
I
do
was like-
that anymore.
well, maybe at least you'd like appreciate it somewhat.
No!
Wait, I think he'll appreciate the fact that he'll then be able to go outside and not encounter a bear.
Yeah, but that's why I said scared bear noise, as if it's running away.
Why would I do that when he can just go outside and later see that there's not a bear?
It's okay. Let's start walking away.
Well,
I like herd
In-
everybody away. From
In which direction are you walking?
Presumably towards the...
you know what?
We should probably go to town.
Well, yeah, I want to know like what's up with the person that like I'm sure that this isn't relevant at all, but I want to know what's up with this person that he felt so inclined to like mention. I don't know if Grim feels the same way, but like be
well,
honest about it.
like having a person like might be an elf, might not be an elf, shows up just randomly after the disappearance.
Yeah, and
That screams
But on the other
mercenary.
hand,
we're
there
all
is a-
well aware that magic to change some like your appearance or the appearance of somebody else exists. So
but there is also a large gap between the kidnapping and this woman. Or elf thing.
Well, what about the last mercenary group? Didn't they say they'd been working for like a week already?
Yeah, but fuck those people. Like, nobody gives a shit about that.
They said they've been working for like a week already, and their group happens to feature a half elf.
Not tan-skinned though.
Oh right.
Yeah. Also, like, why would they repeatedly come back here?
Yeah, and like on a daily basis, or not, well, maybe not daily basis. But
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Unless
Every
you
couple
found
of
something,
days, at
Arya,
least.
But
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I, mean,
I think
we're
we
in
should
the-
go check out.
Mystery woman.
Mystery
Because
woman.
the place that he mentioned wasn't like far from where we are, or do we not know where that is?
You have no idea what that is. It's not on your map.
Oh, really? Well, shit.
And we can't ask him because we burned that bridge.
He did say there was a south road just not too far to walk away.
Okay, so South Road, I'd imagine, is to the south.
That's usually what people mean when they say the road
Yeah,
south
okay.
of here, but
To be fair, it could have been. I'm not gonna. It's fine. There's another way that somebody could refer to it as a South
Just
Road.
let it go.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Well-
Yeah. South of what?
yeah.
Is it just a road
So-
going south, or is it actually to
Well,
the south of something? If it's
he
to the south of
expressly
something,
said
what's
to the south of here, so...
Okay,
There you
so
go
the
then.
south of here. So yeah, I mean, I think that that's if everybody's interested in like checking that out,
All right.
there's no harm. I
Yeah,
guess.
if at the very least you might like have seen something.
Go
Yeah, it's just
south.
traveling enough. So yeah, I just
And-
like
Where
heard
the
everybody
wind-
out. They're like, all right, let's leave this poor guy alone.
Yeah,
Yes.
we've done enough. He's
Like, if
never
we go
gonna
down
look
this
at.
road, we probably won't come back to Silver Crag for quite some time, depending on what happens. Or why I say go back to, we haven't even gotten there yet.
Yeah, we've never been there. We just completely bypassed it.
'cause they said they might have more information.
Yeah, they had more contact with the
Like,
goblins.
just this
We're
road
just
is
running off
not
doing
gonna-
our own investigation.
Like, this road is not going to disappear. I hope.
No. I mean,
So-
it's not the road that we're interested in, it's the person, but
Yeah, but well, she shows up randomly, so I feel like if she shows up today or tomorrow, like the odds are probably the same. Unless we're gonna have a stakeout, but we kind of want to do this quickly, don't we?
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it looked really weird if we're clearly just like sitting there doing nothing, and then suddenly they're like, "Hey, strange woman."
I mean, we did just tell man we broke into his house.
What
Doesn't
we
seem
did.
totally out of
Rip
character.
did. don't drag us into that situation. That was all him.
Like it's perfectly fine.
Is it the...
Also, he wasn't wrong. You did break into his house.
Well, we didn't
we
quite
didn't tell them that.
break in so much as walk in.
I feel
Not that
like
that
the
ever-
semantics there.
Yeah,
Would-
Yeah.
but they don't really care.
You hear the voice of Vondal just echo in the back of your minds.
That's still illegal.
That's still illegal.
Oh, it's...
Oh,
A crime is still a crime, even if you don't call it a crime.
thanks, Mondal.
oh good.
Even
There
a
is a
shit
time-
ton of miles away, still trying to be
Yeah.
the legal conscience of the group.
Bondad.
Shaking the disapproving look of an old dwarf from your minds, you decide to head off.
Fair.
In which direction? North or
I
south?
guess towards the... Which way
Should we
is the
flip?
town?
Let's flip a coin for it.
Silvercrag is north, unnamed mysterious village to the south.
I feel like we should just go to Silver Crag because Silver Crag is guaranteed to be there. Like there's guaranteed knowledge there, and like if
Oh.
they know something that like,
Jayla's like, what?
No,
Oh.
I don't know. The way you said that, it was like the other town just might not be there, and I was like, okay, fucking bye, I guess.
I realized that.
Bye, I guess.
But it is guaranteed to have some information that we, at least we're aware of that. Unlike the other one
Yeah.
where there might not be.
Where we're
Although-
Might be
chasing
nothing,
threads that
or-
might be completely unrelated.
So,
And
To-
Silvercrag might rule out this tiny town before we even ever go there. As much as like as curious as I am.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fair.
So you are heading north to Silvercrag.
also, just want to point out, if it's near an area that's full of goblins and ogres, it might not be there.
I mean, to be fair, it seems like they're a little far. They may be a little farther away if they're not like a village in the woods itself. But they'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Famous last words.
Right.
Okay.
I use them all the time.
Let's go to the place we honestly probably should have gone to last week.
The place that Rob was expecting us to go, and we just ignored.
The place that Rob was hinting we should go.
Because that's the second age way.
We
Woo!
got some
Not
harassed
the
man
right
in the
track.
cabin instead.
Yeah, this
Yep.
poor guy.
Yeah.
To be fair, we saw campfire. Well, we saw smoke in the distance, and we were like, "That's the thing that we need to go see."
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Weird. and
Well, you
unusual.
did find some interesting information.
We did.
how will we? If only we could verify easily that it was relevant.
Yep.
Okay. This music is a lot more since I remember it. It's fine.
Yeah. Is this town haunted?
It is not.
Ooh,
Is there a haunted building in it?
So, as you guys are walking, Kelariis, you notice something. The atmosphere seems to change all of a sudden. Everything is the air becomes colder and more damp, and what seems like a strange white ash begins to drift down. Except as it like sort of lands on your skin and on your scales, it's cold and wet and seems to sort of disappear underneath on contact with your body.
My God, what is it?
Is that something that like I'm familiar with? Or
You are not.
Let me guess. Everyone else is just super chill.
Everyone else doesn't seem to be affected by it.
yeah. Arya's just like, whatever. Fucking every day.
Actually, I imagine Elizabeth a little bit excited by this prospect of this stuff.
I don't know what this is. No, I mean, Kelariis doesn't know what this is. I'm like, what is this? I mean, like, God, I'm trying to think of like, it
Kelariis
just
is...
goes away when it hits my, scales
Yes.
or whatever.
It seems to leave like wet droplets behind.
Like, I guess it's like wiping at it and like looking really confused. And just like, I don't understand what this is.
Oh. I've just had a stupid thought, which I now can't shake. Elizabeth doing that really stupid thing that people do when they try and catch one on their tongue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because she's just a...
Kelariis is so perplexed right now. Like, what?
I imagine Arya like this weird look
Yeah.
from Kelariis, and she's like, "Ever seen snow before?"
Is that what this is?
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't believe you've never seen snow before. That's so sad.
I got so close. I've only ever heard about it, but I didn't know it was like this.
Yeah,
She's
it's
probably
just
like trying to
kinda-
catch like little pieces falling, but obviously it all melts as soon as it like hits her
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this isn't proper snow. This is the shitty wet English snow.
Oh no.
Rule
The saddest
Britannia.
snow.
The saddest type. The snow that never sticks, ever.
Yeah.
Actually, the saddest snow is the snow that's hardened into ice, and it's just sad all the time.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's sad ice, that's bitter ice. That's ice that's just like, fuck you, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just gonna make your life miserable. Whereas the English snow is sad snow, because it just sort of hits the ground and goes, "Ugh."
It's like when it rains, but it's
Slower
not
and
rain
ice.
way down.
It's rain, but slower, easier to see, and colder.
Is this normal?
Yep, pretty normal.
We're
It is
getting
getting close to winter. Temperatures drop, you start to get snow.
The altitude is increasing as well. You are sort of climbing up towards the mountains.
That too.
Yeah.
That's why mountains always have like white tops. It's the snow.
Kelariis is having her mind blown right now. What?
Like, how much snow is there on the floor, or is it not really?
It's
that
not
much?
sticking.
Yeah.
It's just
There's-
making the
there's
ground
no-
wet.
Or is it doing that really awkward thing where it sticks in very specific places by like half a millimeter?
At the moment, it's not sticking at all. It's not snowing heavily enough to stick.
So it just falls and goes away, or melts even.
Not all the time. If it gets real cold enough or heavy enough, then it might, stay on the ground for a bit. And then it makes a cool noise when you walk on it. It's like a crunch, crunch, crunch.
What? Kelariis was thinking of like.
Yeah.
So Kelariis was thinking as you were saying that like, oh, it's like when there's a shit ton of water on the ground, right? But no, you said crunch and then everything just went out the window.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, no, it's more solid water. I mean,
it's
it's kind of like ice, but it's like thaw.
yeah. What would be best comparison?
But you best
Have
not
you
hope that
seen
actual ice.
Oh, I
I've
suppose-
seen-
That is one thing you do notice, is that the snow melts on everyone's touch except for Arya's.
Is it sticking to Arya?
Well, it isn't sticking, but it's just not melting nearly as quickly.
I'm
Just-
like, I'm probably
Terrifying
looking like
temperature
really
level.
closely at Arya, like, what is happening? I don't understand.
It's out of game. It's her attunement element.
Oh, I mean,
But-
yeah, like I figured, but Kelariis has no idea what the fuck's going on at all.
But yeah, just be glad that actual ice isn't falling from the sky, because that's painful.
Oh, yeah. You don't want hail or slate or whatever.
Sorry?
Okay, so at the moment it's like nice and soft and it melts, and when it doesn't melt, it's all like kind of soft and squishy, and you can make people out of it. But if it's
Well, hold on. Rewind a second.
Wait.
What?
Excuse me?
What?
What now?
You roll up like a ball, and then you roll up a slightly smaller ball, and then you can use coal to make a face, and it's a snowman.
I look at Grim and Arya like, what the fuck is she talking about?
Then you can put sticks in the bigger snowball, and it's like little arms. You can put a hat on it.
You know, like when you have wet sand and you can kind of like shape it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you know.
Oh yeah. Sandcastles, but out of snow.
Ooh, and snowball fights!
Yeah.
The best thing!
Doesn't work with sand.
Yeah, it's like that
Yeah.
just sounds unpleasant. That just gets in your everywhere.
No, it's great. It's great. Trust me, it's great. You
Well,
can make like little walls and hide behind them.
the upside of snow is when it gets in your everywhere, it just turns into
It
water.
just melts.
Well,
Yeah.
water is okay.
So it's like pleasant sand, but very cold.
It's cold, but it sounds really, really cold but lovely neighbor.
I feel like we're giving her a very distorted image of what's
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll find more snow. We're probably better off just
Yeah, we'll probably
finding
just
actual
wait
proper snow.
on the ground.
But yeah, like I said, like I was saying before, like, you know, people. Yeah, if it's like, I don't even know what's different about it. Like, but like sometimes it's different, and it's just a big solid lump of ice that hits you on the head at really high speed.
That doesn't sound great at all. Am I supposed to be excited? Okay.
You know what?
No,
Before we
that's not something
scare-
you're supposed to be excited about. That's unpleasant. But the actual snow, the fact that it's nice snow, is good.
Yeah, before we completely destroy Kelariis' image of snow, we should probably keep on moving.
Yeah.
Good plan.
I feel like we are only gonna make it worse.
Yeah, probably. That tends to be our.
So you sort of reach the peak of this small climb that you're on, and arrive just short of the borders of a small town. The majority of the buildings here are constructed from worked stone, and it's quite a pleasant little village. Although the number of occupants sort of out and about in the streets seems to be very sparse. There's only as you walk into the sort of this main street from the path you've been taking up the hill, there's maybe like 2 people scurrying on their way to somewhere else.
Well, should we like try to find like a tavern?
That'd probably be a good idea. I imagine we'll be here a few days, at the very least.
I'm trying to remember. They told, like, who did they tell us to find again? Was it just the guard?
Magus Lynn mentioned the steward of Silvercrag might know more.
Ah, that was it.
Step 1,
Already
find the steward. Step 2, get some information. Step
Question mark,
3,
question mark, question
find
mark.
somewhere to... Step 3, find somewhere to stay, because it's probably going to be way too late to engage in any actual
Yeah, it
investigation.
is getting towards evening, because you guys did spend quite some time wandering around in the woods.
And then step 4, do stuff in the morning. I haven't quite nailed down what stuff to do yet.
So where are
Yeah,
you going?
I guess we will ask the guard where the steward is.
There don't appear to be any guards
Oh.
on hand.
Well,
Well, is there like a town hall?
Give me a perception check.
we could always just shout out to the people.
We're not gonna shout at them. We can ask them politely.
Well, like,
Hey!
depending.
Yay!
Elizabeth, casting your gaze about, you notice one building that has what appears to be a large bell tower on top of it that you would surmise is perhaps a town hall of some sort.
I guess, yeah, I'd pointed it and go, that building looks promising. It's very official looking. Either the steward's there or whoever's there knows where the steward is. Or maybe both.
Well, let's see how that theory turns out.
So no sooner do you begin to take steps towards this large building with the bell tower, than you hear a loud gong, gong, and the bell begins to ring.
I hope that's not a bad sign.
I assume that might be a religious thing.
I don't know. Normally, when you ring the town bell, it's because you want all your villagers to get inside before they get killed.
It could just be
That
a time.
is not true.
Yeah.
Age of Empires reference.
Anyway.
'Cause,
So you continue to walk towards this building.
I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
But I assume that ringing off the bell has something to do with the pilgrimage kind of a thing that they do with the princess every. Because there must be some significance in this place in that regard.
You can certainly guess that. But yeah, you make it to the building in short order and step inside. And sort of as you push this wooden door open and sort of like step inside, you can hear another bell start to ring in the distance. And as you step inside, it does indeed look like this is some sort of administrative office for the local area or something. As behind the sort of like short wooden desk that is the first thing in front of you, stood on a stool is a halfling man who has sort of got a set of eyeglasses like resting on the tip of his nose, and he's going over some books. And he sort of looks up, adjusts his glasses, and says, "Hello there."
General Kenobi!
Anyway.
I'm so...
Nope.
Can I be of assistance?
Well, we're we're
Hang on, Discord is having a moment.
Oh. Try that again.
Hello?
There
I
we go.
think it went robo.
I changed
okay.
the server location to try and fix the robot.
Looks like it should be okay now.
Yep.
In case you hadn't guessed from our appearance, we are a group of mercenaries looking for clues as to the princess's whereabouts. We were hoping to find someone with, some knowledge about the events and potentially about the local area.
Well, you've come to the right place. I'm afraid I'm just the accountant, but the steward may be able to fill you in on a few things. I can ask him if you wish.
That would be great.
Well, please take a seat. Sort of indicates the bench on the wall next to the door.
Thank you very much.
Jumps down from his stool.
Yeah, gonna have a sit down.
Okay. He disappears off into one of the rooms to the side. Before you hear sort of like the muffled conversation between this individual and a slightly deeper, more booming voice. Before the accountant sort of like pushes open the door again, goes back, like picks up his books and like takes them into the room, and stepping out of the room is a very large human. He must be about 6 feet tall, and he's wearing sort of like a thick fur like jacket over like a white silk shirt. But this is obviously a man who he's obviously some sort of worker at heart, because he is like he has like almost like tree trunk like arms and a barrel chest, and he's built like a physical labourer. And he sort of like steps through this door and says, "Ah, hello there. Mercenaries looking for questions."
If you would be so kind.
Certainly. The disappearance of the princess is one that has us all worried, especially for such a long time.
Understandably.
Yes.
Oh,
So I guess.
where are my manners? I am Toba.
Oh, of course. I am Quagrim Daemaris. But just call me Grim.
Elizabeth Topaz Agiad. And she'll do a little curtsy.
A pleasure.
My name is Arya Tallithsyr. That's my fucking.
And I'm Kelariis Greysurge.
And together we're the Amber Eagle.
And together we're the Amber Eagle.
We're the Amber
So,
Look, it
It's
has
like
to be done.
cheesy, like, insert cheesy pose and sparkle effect here.
Yep.
No.
Forgive my ignorance. I've never seen one of the kind before. Sort of indicates you, Kelariis. You are dragon folk?
Dragonborn.
I see. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
You as well. I like extend a hand to
Okay.
shake.
Yeah, there's like the hands meet and it's like, and like the whole building shakes.
How firm is his
I'm imagining-
grip, Ferrous?
Yeah. Make a strength check.
What?
I'm imagining that scene from Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh god. Oh, that's bad. That's real bad, Kelariis. You could have done
Oh,
better.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's not great.
Real bad.
There you have a +5.
It's above average. Technically.
It's not great.
Yeah, it's pretty firm. It's like your hand like you've both got quite large hands, being both quite large people, but they sort of meet, and that Kelariis is very big.
Yeah, shut up. Get your mind out of the gutter, Luka.
Like you grasp his hand, and you can feel like the roughness of his hand. Like he's obviously done a lot of manual labor in his life, but even under the surface, like his muscles do not budge an inch as you grip.
I can respect that. I think Kelariis is probably used to being like a little more restrained when shaking
Yeah.
the hand. You know, humans.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
against humans, but like you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Nothing against humans, but I snap your tiny bone like twig.
She wants to avoid that.
Who will crush, without me, who will crush man's skull like sparrow's eggs between thighs?
Wow.
I think there has to be like a little bro nod, right? Like we haven't done
Yeah.
Oh.
Ah,
Oh,
the glorious return.
Yeah. So he rubs his like rough and wiry beard. Joseph says, So, what is it that you want to know? I will tell you all that I know.
Well, I guess, has there been any increased goblin activity around?
He shakes his head and says, No, we have not seen hide nor hair of the goblins or their kin for months.
That's interesting. That's unusual, right?
Well, they have their periods. They come and they go. This is the longest they have ever been away, though.
Surely only 50% of their population have those.
I'm sorry?
I'm making a dumb joke, ignore me.
Joke?
Yeah, I was
I'm-
like, I missed that one too.
No clue.
No.
Was it
As
fake?
far as said they have their periods.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
are goblins?
Anyway,
Oh, hold on.
goblins are goblins. Don't.
Don't even question it.
But I
Anyway.
guess not all mammals have periods. So.
Anyway. Not relevant. Yes, this is definitely the longest we've ever been without any interference.
Would you happen to be aware of where they usually, retreat to during their home periods?
Somewhere in the mountains, that's all I know.
Would you happen to know anyone who is a little more accurate knowledge, as in like a little bit more precise?
He, his face becomes stern. He just sort of shakes his head and says, "We leave them alone, and they leave us alone. It is not wise to go poking around in their homes. I think sometimes that is what brings them down from the mountains."
Fair enough.
We make special provision here, even with our mining, to try and stay away from areas that we know that they are resident in. It is much safer that way.
Well, in that case, I believe, because considering we're gonna have to head up there almost inevitably.
I would advise against it.
I am aware, but I assume then staying low-key will be important. Well, not just for our sake, but for, your sake, if that is what actually angers them.
I do not see the need to send mercenaries time and again into these mountains. There is little proof that the goblins have been involved in the princess's disappearance. I have said this to many. I do not believe that they have anything to do with it.
Why don't you believe that?
Simply because we have not seen them.
That really does make it quite hard to put two and two together.
Admittedly, organized kidnapping does not seem very goblin-like.
But didn't we already determine that it was unlikely that it was the goblins working alone?
Yeah, that is true.
Because yeah, kidnapping a princess is like not normal goblin activity.
Oh.
But like this guy says, if they even did it.
I will not stop you from going into the mountains, but please be aware that if those who go up there rile them up, upset them in some way, it is me and my people who will bear the effects of that.
Well, then we'll try our best not to do that.
There was one thing that caught our attention. Like on our way here, we came across a cabin, and there was a little village to the south of it. We didn't, or supposedly there's a little village to the south of it. Would you happen to know anything about it?
A village to the south. It's not within the kingdom or its borders. That would be the purview of those further south, but I have heard of it. We have had visitors who have done trade. Not frequent or common, but they have come.
Okay. Would this be a human or an elven group?
Humans, from what I've seen.
Well, I was mainly curious if there was an elf, but that was... humans is fine.
I do not think I have seen an elf. I admittedly do not do much of the bartering or trading myself. It is mainly the purview of those among us with those skills, but
Fair enough.
if you are looking for someone specific, they may be able to help you.
I'm trying to recall all the questions that we had about the princess's kidnapping. What did we want to know? Because you yourselves didn't know too much more about the actual kidnapping, did you? So there was no tracks, no nothing.
I know only what the report was relayed to me, that a carriage was found abandoned on the side of the road, and that a number of belongings were left behind. We searched, but there did not seem to be any immediate tracks.
Well, in that case, I guess isn't that do you guys have any more questions?
My mind's drawing a blank.
Yeah, same.
Well,
If we do happen to think of something else, would we be able to seek you out again?
yes, I am here most of the day and sometimes into the evening, but yes. If I am not here, then my house is not far. And he sort of wanders over to the door, pulls the door open, and sort of says, "Do you see that building over there? The one with the 2 chimney stacks. It's the one on the end.
Okay.
I keep my hours civil, but if something important comes up, then you know where I am."
That would be most helpful.
Well, we'll definitely try and keep it within the civil hours.
That would be appreciated.
I believe it's evening now, right?
Yeah.
Yes. The sun is sort of already dropping behind the mountains.
I guess Elizabeth will say, well, given that there's nothing else related to the disappearance, I think that we have to ask. There's only one more question. Could you perchance direct us to a local tavern of some sort?
He sort of looks at you, thinks for a moment, and says, "You know, I think I could do with a drink myself. Yes, I think it's clocking off time." He sort of looks around and says, "Well, no one's here to complain at me, so let's go."
This guy.
Oh, okay.
That works.
Yes. He leads you out and around the back to a long, low-lying sort of stone building. That, as you come closer in, it's got a long wooden sign that's not very beautifully decorated, and in a sort of a very rough chicken scratch script. It just says a hard day's respite.
Oh.
And as you round the corner towards the hard day's respite, you notice that filing in through the doors in a orderly manner are a number of very grubby-looking miners. A number of whom are sort of still carrying tools and just sort of down tools outside of the pub and step inside. Tobar turns to the rest of you and sort of says, "Well, it's going to be a bit of a squeeze, but well, the fire is warm, the drinks are good, and the beds will hold your weight.
Good to know.
Yeah, right.
That's about all you need.
Yeah.
That's all
Sort of-
much you can ask for, I guess. Dragon.
Oh, I'm still getting used to the crowded spaces.
He sort of strides towards the doors, and the miners who are sort of like still like filing in sort of like stop and let him walk past, and he just sort of waves at them, ducks under the door frame to get in.
Why is the door shorter than 6 foot?
Because most of the people here are shorter than 6 foot.
Alright.
Compared
tall is-
compared to everyone else around you, he is huge. By the way, like he's the tallest human you've seen in this town.
Oh.
But then how tall is the door frame?
Like probably a little shorter than 6 foot,
Okay.
like 5'11".
Lar probably also has to duck down.
Well, Kelariis is still taller than him if he's 6 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to really duck down. By 3 inches
Also,
of
like,
water.
Please.
once he's sort of gone through the door, like, Elizabeth just kind of go, "Oh, I'm used to how he's, like, you know, questioning the lack of seeing a dragonborn when I'm blue."
Oh, apparently you're not as unique as you might think.
Apparently
Yeah.
there's loads of blue-skinned people around.
Well, loads might be overstating it, but not being the first one. Well, perhaps you can ask him about it.
It would be interesting to know.
Maybe he just thinks you have frostbite. Wahey. Actually,
What?
mine's
I'm wearing,
pretty
like-
sure.
I'm wearing, like, a coat and stuff. I'm fine.
Yeah, and frostbite actually turns stuff black, so
Yeah, that's
not.
Well,
that
not how
Instead of-
medicine works.
Well, instead of trying to, well, theorize, we can simply ask.
In this
Does
party.
it seem a bit weird to just walk up to someone and just go, "Hey, why am I not special?"
Why are you not
But no,
racist?
like, you phrase it differently. So you've met an Ergonasi before. And, like, just curious as to, like, oh,
I mean,
like,
that's a leaping assumption.
No, just say something. You could say something along the lines of, most people I've met have commented on the fact that I have, blue skin,
Blue
like,
skin.
but I'm curious why you did it. Like, that's not the weirdest, it's not the most graceful way to do it, but it's not the weirdest thing.
yeah, if you're basically trying to inquire if you've seen them before, and yeah, let's be honest, scales beat skin color in obviousness.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one way of putting it.
You eventually sort of like file in through the tavern doors, and yeah, it is indeed quite packed in here. Yeah.
I guess one of us should go up and get room.
Yeah, the bar seems to be sort of like very busy. Tobar has sort of like waded his way through the crowd and is sitting at a stool at the bar with a tankard, which is impressive considering he got in here like a minute ago.
Yeah.
You get the feeling he commands a lot of respect around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and ask for.
Yeah, try and wade through with her.
Okay. Yeah, eventually you sort of pull up to the side of the bar next to Tobar. Tobar sort of says, like, leans in towards you and says, "I recommend the dark ale."
Any reason in particular?
I'm drinking it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good enough reason.
Fair.
Just realised there's two musics overlapping in these tracks, so I'm going to stop one. Okay. The man at the bar sort of like comes over and says, "Ah, newcomers." Tobar sort of says, "Yes, mercenaries from out of town, looking into the disappearances again." And the sort of there's a momentary look exchanged between Tobar and the bartender, and then Tobar sort of says, "I don't think these are like the last ones."
Oh,
Yeah. What does that? Yeah. What does that look mean?
Roll me an insight check.
I would very much like to do that.
Okay.
Boom shakalaka.
Yeah, it's there's like a look, almost like a look of like disapproval from the bartender, who's just sort of like, "Oh, really? More of this?" At which point, Tobar just sort of like he gives a reassuring look and just sort of says, "Don't worry, I don't think this is like last time."
Yeah.
the last
I guess
time?
noticing that, Elizabeth would just say, "Yeah, we know we can follow rules when it's appropriate."
When it's,
Which is,
I feel
you know,
like you might want
which
to
is,
rephrase that.
literally 95% of situations, including the one that we're in now.
I had a bad experience with another group recently.
You could say that. Rather rowdy bunch. Did we throw them out in the end? And sort of the bartender says, yes, after a little while. We shouldn't be worried about them anymore. I think they've long given up their search."
So they wouldn't happen to have been led by a dwarf now, would they?
Don't think so, no.
Okay. Well, we ran into trouble with another group that like tried to mess with us, but
Don't remind me.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to get that image out of my head.
Was an unfortunate encounter.
Yes, I've
mostly harmless. But
met the dwarf. He seems a savvy one. Is he not favourable?
I would
He doesn't
say
take kindly to competition.
To quote some of his comrades, he's, and then she does it in air quotes, competitive.
Oh,
I think they were.
I was under the impression that was a shared shared quality amongst mercenaries.
yes, but
Yeah,
there is
that says a lot. He's competitive even by mercenary standards.
Oh,
well, I believe that some people like they might have a slight case of being a little overly
Overzealous.
enthusiastic about being the first and try to sabotage us in some regard, but by spiking our drink. But in the end, well, I guess no harm was come. So
To you maybe.
Tobar just like sort of pulls his tankard closer and like puts like a massive hand over the top and just says, I don't like the sound of that."
but yes. However, if they behaved well, then I believe you were. As long as you don't interfere with them and their goal of finding
Climbing the
princess,
cache.
I feel like they don't really mind anything really. But enough of the sad mercenary talk.
Yes, please. I want to forget about it.
Yeah, Elizabeth here was wondering, because
No. I'm just gonna like place a hand over your mouth. Like, no, I wasn't.
fine, maybe some other time. Well, I guess dark ales all around then.
I might stick with something better. Arya doesn't particularly like dark stuff.
Kelariis?
Sure.
Okay, I guess 2 dark ale and
Okay.
whatever these two are having.
Whatever it is.
It's so judgmental.
I mean, I'm good. I'm not thirsty.
Oh, well, that works for me.
Okay. Yeah, the bartender slides 2 mugs of dark ale over and says, well, here you go, house special. That will be 6 copper.
Very well. Have well, I should. I'll just hand over 6 copper. Actually, I only have silvers left. It's fine.
Yeah, he can give you change.
Math.
Yeah.
And
Have a silver.
while we're here, I suppose the obvious. You're almost certainly expecting this. Any available rooms?
Alright, well, we've got a couple of guest rooms, or there's the bunk room.
How much are the Catherine?
Well, I think for the 4 of you, you can probably book us out. Do a special deal, seeing as you're doing Tobar a favour, and we'll call it 2 silver for the 4 of you.
Sure.
Fair enough.
I'll pay that.
That's a lot more reasonable than other places that
Yeah.
we've been.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I was expecting more than that.
Well,
Oh.
they're a gruff northern town.
Oh.
Yeah. Even though we're actually
South,
quite far
yeah.
south compared to a lot
Yeah.
of places we've been.
Wait,
Well,
how many people are like just roughly in here?
maybe it's like the tables are pretty filled, so maybe there's maybe like 20 people in here.
No, that should work. How about like how about I hand you a gold piece and everybody gets around? That works. That maths out, kind of.
So the bartender sort of like takes the gold piece and says, "Well, it'll make you a lot of friends, but sure." Sort of
Well, I feel like
tucks it behind the bar and starts pouring.
it never hurts to leave a better impression.
Just throw our money around.
And I have a good feeling that we will be able to safely recover the princess. So
Here's hoping.
until then, well, we'll just assume the best.
Fingers crossed and everything.
The bartender hands like the first tankard over to Tobar, who just sort of like finishes his first one, sets it down, and like holds the second one, and just sort of says, "You're an odd one, you know that."
Yes, yes, he is.
We know.
Yeah, we're well aware. Also,
Uh,
when people says the thing about like recovering the princess, Kelariis I knock on wood, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
gotta have a little faith.
we're a superstitious bunch.
That's for sure.
The knock on wood, the crossing of fingers.
Well,
Like somebody throw salt over your left shoulder.
never held much stock in gods or superstitions myself.
Ezra just sort of shrugs and goes, "My parents are fairly religious. You pick up on it."
I mean,
Some of
Mars
the
is
gods
literally
are-
a paladin.
More. No, some of the gods are more worth paying attention to than others, in my opinion. But to each their own.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm with the mind of try not to piss any of them off because better safe than sorry.
Well, admittedly, for now, my main concern is just how are we gonna not anger not cause any problems between if the goblins are behind this, because as Tobar said,
Tobar just sort of looks down at you with an eyebrow like, "We're really going here again?"
Maybe this is not the time, neither the time nor the place.
Well, no, I was like, we just wanna like. The main thing I'm worried about is like how not to cause any
Problems.
Lasting trouble.
problems.
Lasting troubles. Yeah, all of that works.
But yes. Wait, did you? Yeah, because you didn't have anyone who knew more.
I can keep my hands clean.
How about? I think we should maybe have a look at in the little village tomorrow. Because wait, how many days do we have till the birthday?
Yeah, like get 2 give or take. I think you have.
Because I remember we had like a day to figure it out, basically, and then like if we went back, we would.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're not gonna make that deadline.
Yeah.
Well, that goes the bonus.
Oh well.
I mean.
Also, nobody said anything about a bonus.
Oh no,
Yeah.
well,
He just said that'd be nice.
like it was.
Although I suppose it's not so much a monetary bonus as a favor bonus.
Like yeah,
Bonus
bonuses
of
come in many shapes and forms.
Yeah, the king would be like super impressed, as opposed to regular impressed.
Sure.
Yeah, fair.
But enough business for now, I guess. Should just enjoy your drinks and we'll figure things out tomorrow.
I mean, yeah. We have, like, let's do what the place is known for and have a well-earned respite.
Well, haven't quite earned it yet, but we'll get there.
We've made progress.
Yeah, you have walked a lot today.
We've done a lot of walking, kids.
Yeah. So like, I know I'm wearing boots, but my feet still kind of hurt.
Wow.
Fine. Oh well. Perhaps we should just call it early so we can get a head start in the morning.
Yeah, that's probably.
Sound logic.
I imagine we'll check out the village first. I assume there's no. Well, if the guy at the bar is still there with anyone, because I assume we're sitting in here.
Yeah, you're sitting at a table fairly near the side of the bar.
I assume I'm gonna ask him. I don't assume you know anything interesting about the village, like just below. Well, I guess I would like try and describe it somewhat.
South of the river.
Oh, that you're asking the bartender.
Yeah, because like if anybody would see people from there, or hear something.
He sort of says, oh, well, I'm familiar with it. Seen a couple of folk come in here from down there. Yeah, seem to be doing well for themselves.
Well,
As far as I know, they only started the place up a couple of months back.
oh, that is surprising.
Yeah, sort of a new project sort of thing.
But isn't it
Can't believe
awfully?
they're a cult.
Isn't it awfully close to like the goblin borders?
Yeah, it's probably why nobody was there before. Things quiet down, people get more interested in expanding.
I
I
guess.
feel like more and more that's the place.
Well, we should definitely. We'll stop by and maybe they know something that we don't.
Possibly.
Before we decide on a plan of action. Oof. And hey, if you're lucky, they might catch the heat. Although that wouldn't be great for them, of course. But
Grim.
Can I just slap Grim?
Wow.
well, hey, look. Wow, look, we all know eventually they'll probably come back. Might as well make the best of it, right? Or well, think the best of it.
I don't think that's how that works.
You're not thinking. What goes on in your brain?
Okay, let me put it this way: if you lived in a village and there was some, and your village could get attacked, or they decided to attack someone else, what would you prefer?
I'd prefer that neither get attacked. At
But
the end
that's
of
not
the day.
like, and that would be the optimal option. But I don't see how that's gonna happen.
There
Um,
are ways. It just may take more work.
Yes, but till then,
I don't know. I feel like as well. I'd quite like that. If trouble was started, whoever started the trouble was there to at least help clean it up.
Yeah, well, if we cause trouble, we will. But I'm not planning on causing any trouble, so.
Good.
A large hand claps you on the back as Tobar is making his way out of the bar and says, "That's exactly what I want to hear." Just
Don't
walks out.
encourage him.
I know.
Wait, what? What do you mean encourage him?
Yeah, he was saying that's exactly what I wanted to hear about not
Yeah.
causing trouble.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said not
Oh,
cause
yeah.
trouble, and Elizabeth is on one side, through gritted teeth, going good, and then Tobar is just clapping him on the back, going yeah.
Oh, you guys are so uptight sometimes.
I think it's less weird.
Use you.
Uptight, God.
Oh.
Just because you're don't see any problems with anything ever doesn't make us uptight.
Oh, I see plenty of problems. I just approach them differently. It's fine.
That's so true.
Yeah, it's very true, actually.
And for once, the whole party was agreed.
Savor this rare moment.
Save the moment. It's nice, isn't it?
But we may never see it again.
Not for another month.
Oh, it's fine. But yes.
So you guys are finishing your drinks and heading to bed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Betty buys.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Also, I will point out you guys haven't eaten anything, so I assume you want to eat something as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
well,
Yeah. If you drop another 2 silver, you can do that quite easily.
it's fine.
Eat some food. Don't die.
So you guys turn in for the evening. The the rooms are rustically quaint.
That's a nice way of saying they're small
Aw.
and not that great.
Yeah. They are stone walls, a bed with numerous hides and furs piled on top of them, and very little else. But yeah, it's comfortable. And you do indeed get to sleep and have a full rest.
Yay.
Nice.
And the next morning, you wake up to the snow having been replaced with a slight downpour of rain.
Love.
Wow, it really is just like Britain.
But yeah, you guys get up, have a small breakfast, and prepare to head out. What are all of your passive perceptions?
13.
15.
9?
11? Oh, okay. I guess I can say bad if Grim is a
Okay.
9.
Yeah,
Lord.
Grim, that's pretty bad, bro.
Yeah, that's pretty rough, buddy.
Yeah. I love the way we're all saying these almost cautiously, and then Grim just rocks up and is like, 9.
Look, I process information, I don't acquire it.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
important. That's still important.
That is true. So where are you headed?
Personally, I think we need to take a look at this southern village.
I feel like that would be a good place to start looking.
Because it just
Sounds like
it
a nice
strikes me
day
as
trip.
odd. that all of a sudden this village pops up in the same timeline that goblins stop attacking people. Rob just rolled some dice in the back.
Don't mind me.
Yep. To be fair, he could be doing that thing where he rolls dice just to get us consent.
Oh, for sure. I can guarantee you he fucks with us at least once a session rolling some dice.
Once a session.
At least.
Do not peer behind the curtain.
It's fine. But yes, we should head
By
down
at least
to
once,
the.
I mean at least 5 times.
But we should head down to the village.
Yeah, that sounds like a good day trip.
So yeah, as you head out, you notice a couple of traveling parties with various carriages that are coming up the road towards you all. None of them seem to be in a particular hurry, though many of them have sort of got coverings up to protect them from the rain. But yeah, there's maybe 2 or 3 caravans sort of coming up the road towards the town as you guys are setting out.
I imagine Scarlet's just tucked in underneath Elizabeth's hood. Just to get out of rain.
Dragon don't like rain.
Well.
He's only little.
Jayla's.
She's only small. Yeah, they're just ordinary caravans then.
They seem to be, yeah. So you guys moving on?
Yeah, I guess so. Much using the.
Yeah.
It's just a caravan.
That's what he wants us to.
Right?
It's
See, out of character, we're all just in character, I know at least I was just whatever.
I guess we're passing by them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess beyond a hello, that's pretty, just the traveler's greeting, basically.
Hail, traveler!
Oh! Sorry! I wasn't. Okay, yeah.
What?
Oh. I think Arya or Luka may have gotten
I'm
A poke.
good.
yeah.
Whispers.
Maybe we're gonna be. Maybe if you want a standard traveler's greeting, maybe we should go ho ho ho! Traveler!
Hello, travelers!
Thanks for
I
getting
see
the
you.
staff of Magnus for us. We'll be taking that.
They
well,
hurriedly move in the
yeah,
other
that-
direction.
They're like,
Ho ho ho!
actually, I'm gonna point out that there is a tan skin in the middle of the caravan.
Dun dun.
So,
Hey,
you just
slit.
try Octa. Yeah. Guess I'll come up to her, be like, excuse me, miss, can we ask you a few questions real
Yeah, as you sort of approach her, she sort of at first she looks a little nervous, but you kind of that's generally kind of a thing that you're a little used to when you approach people with
you
your
have, a wolf.
your giant wolf and your heavily armored friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
she
a
sort
bad
of
idea.
Here too.
she pulls the coat collar up, but then when you sort of address her, she sort of says, of course, how can I help?
We've been, so we are a mercenary guild. I'm the Amber Eagle. Ching, get the name in. And,
Get the branding.
Branding, yeah, it's important. And we have been tasked with finding, princess that was kidnapped recently. And we were traveling around trying to find information about that. We ran into a man who mentioned that he had seen you along the road where the princess had been kidnapped. I wondered if you had seen anything unusual around that area.
She pushes one of the wet strands of hair up out of her face and sort of says, I travel this way fairly often. I can't say that I've seen anything in particular. I know there are goblins and other such creatures that travel these woods and these roads. I'm afraid that's all I've heard of it.
Can I insight check that? Sure.
You can
I
certainly.
don't think she's lying.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I insight that as well?
Sure.
Oh, for fuck's sake. The one time I do an insight
Yeah.
check.
Yay.
So I don't ever insight check.
It's okay. I have the proficiency.
I have the proficiency.
Like
We
some
can
girls.
insight check them. We have the proficiency. It's like the worst version of we can rebuild them ever.
Yeah, she just sort of says, yeah, I'm afraid I don't know any more than that.
Not like literally nothing. If you travel frequently, like I don't know, like nothing.
I'm afraid this is really the first I've heard of it.
Well, have you seen anything unusual, like unrelated to that? Just particular goblinoid activity? Any sign they've been around?
I saw signs of them the other day, but I kept away from them.
What were they doing?
Yeah, what specific signs?
Just, you know, the standard sort of broken down twigs, the sort of thing. Look, I'm just a traveller. I don't tend to get involved in these sort of things.
Well, this is an important matter, and you know, someone's missing. It'd be really helpful if anything you knew, you'd tell us.
I understand, but that's all I know.
Well, that's all you know. What it is. If you happen to see anything else useful or interesting, do you come here often?
Every few weeks. Sorry, no, DM club. Couple of times a week.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was
if
gonna say,
you-
hold on.
Yeah.
If you see anything interesting or whatever, if you could leave a note with the bartender for us, that would be really helpful.
I don't know what you'll expect that I'll find, but good luck
Well,
on your
anyway.
goblin hunt.
Wait, okay. Before we say goodbye, she matched the description of the one that the lumberjack gave, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she is a tan-skinned elf, which in a society dominated almost entirely by humans is fairly distinctive.
Oh, if you see the cabin again, yeah, say hi.
She sort of gives you an odd look.
You know what I'm talking about.
Does she though?
I don't know.
Just because he's
What?
seen it doesn't mean she's
she
been
just
in
sort
a
of
cabin.
she pulls the hood like even tighter and starts to sort of like walk up.
Graham!
Look,
I just give Grim the most evil stare in the world,
Arya's just like,
and she just goes, "Can you go, like, more than 24 hours without
creeping out some poor
thoroughly
innocent
creeping
boy.
someone out who you've never met?"
Oh god. But really, if you
I'm surprised you didn't put these guys off when they first met you.
Oh, he did.
oh, you're still around.
Yeah. I mean, we're still here. No, but if you do see anything, it may not seem important to you, but it could be very helpful to us.
She just sort of, yeah, she just hurries away. She doesn't respond.
Yeah.
Fucking
Once-
bye, I guess.
Oh. Once the caravan's passed, Elizabeth just say she knows more than she's letting on.
To what extent?
I don't know. She never met eyes when saying any of that, which I don't know. It makes me think she's lying.
Lying or nervous.
Well, with your intelligence, you know it's a common tell of people who are lying.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards lying.
Interesting.
Do we want to try to go after her more?
I didn't see. That's what I thought, but I don't want to do it in front of a big caravan like that. And who knows when she'll next be on her own.
Also, I don't know. It's hard to say, because I feel like we could definitely track her the next time she goes. But I don't know when that... And if we want to go down to the village.
Well, from your conversation, it's possible that that's where she comes from every now and again. So, because that was the way. I've forgotten his name already. Nota. That's where Nota said. Said he'd seen her coming from. So, or at least that direction.
But she definitely knows something, and either... there could be any number of reasons why she doesn't want to tell us.
yeah, I was gonna say, fortunately we don't know the...
We are a bunch of strangers just questioning
Yeah.
this poor thing, like
Mm.
in the rain.
And
on the
creeping
road.
her out for no reason.
Well, she was gonna leave anyway. I was like, well, she kind of stopped by the. She's gonna go past the cabin. Like, at least let the guy know.
That's not
Let him know that we're
necessary.
still thinking about him.
Yeah, like, maybe let's not. Let's just leave him alone.
Yeah, let the guy whose
Why not?
house we broke into know that we're still thinking about him.
No,
We're not mean.
No, like, well, like it was also because I kind of like it doesn't make sense for her to be seen from the cabin.
Well, he said he saw her
Maybe-
on the road.
Yeah, he
I was gonna
didn't.
say,
Oh,
yeah.
He didn't see her
Saw
from the
on
cabin.
the road.
He's seen her.
Oh,
He's seen
okay.
her. Well, not even on the road. He's seen her moving through the forest where he works.
Yeah.
Oh, she's
No
been
point-
into the forest and off the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't an established road to the south. If I bring you back to the map.
Because that was why I thought like she was like near the cabin because like she wasn't on the road.
I mean, near the cabin and within viewing distance aren't
So-
are like, you know, two different things.
Yeah, if the town is to the south of where you guys were to get to the cabin, which is like somewhere down here. Yeah, there's no established road from Silvercrag like across that river. So she's been travelling through the forest and across the river.
But is there's a bridge?
There is a small bridge, but it doesn't go. It doesn't really go anywhere.
Okay, fair.
But like that could also just be her traveling to the little village to the south.
Yeah.
If they
Yes.
haven't really.
Yeah, well, if they've only just set it up, then that makes sense why there's no established roadway yet. Especially as that's across a country border, so there's diplomatic implications there.
Can't believe we're gonna create international conflict.
International.
An international incident.
I mean,
Well,
we're not.
It's fine.
We're
We
technically
don't-
not of that kingdom, so.
No, you're not
Perhaps.
citizens of the kingdom, no.
He's not my king, as I proved when I did not bow to him.
Yep.
Yeah, same. High five, Arya.
High five for not fucking bowing to monarchs that are not ours.
Hell yeah.
Very disrespectful.
Yeah.
Eh.
Because
Gotta keep
No,
on track.
we bowed politely, we just didn't kneel.
Yeah, we just.
yeah,
there's-
even the bit where you guys are currently living, there is no monarch for that middle bit of the human realms.
Wow, I'm surprised no one has like fucking started a war to get that shit.
You do
Well-
realize there are other government forms other than a
Yes,
monarchy, right?
It is a number of fiefdoms owned by a number of powerful aristocrats.
Yeah. There's still things that exist that aren't kings.
Yes.
Yeah, but like,
First of all, republics technically exist. Second of all, it could just be a local duke or count.
but then they would still be under a king.
Well,
don't
no,
become
they'd be
a
under
duke
a
just becau-
duke or a count.
No, and then those dukes or counts would be under a king.
Usually,
Not
yes.
necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Yes.
You can have independent dukes.
You can have independent.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have independent dukedoms. Yes.
What? That doesn't
Yeah,
make
it's just like, it's really rare,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, relatively speaking, but it can happen.
Well, to offer some clarity from a lore standpoint, basically the monarch who was in charge of that bit in the middle, it's in the full thing is sort of like in my big timeline lore document. But yeah, basically that part of the kingdom has been the victim of somewhat of the aftermath of the many wars with the elves, where a king died and then nobody could be bothered to continue his war against the elves, so they just went, yeah, you know what, all of you are now self-governed, just do your own thing, we don't have the money or the time to pay for this war. And the war has since lapsed into peace, and then everyone's just sort of like, well, we could go there again, but it's more trouble than it's worth.
We might like cause
Yeah.
a war with another
Yeah.
faction that likes like.
Most people are quite happy to sit in the status quo.
Yes.
Except Brit.
I see an opening to become king. No,
I mean,
No.
if you want to.
no.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
The serious
unless-
thing is, I could 100% believe Grim
Yeah.
saying that in character and all of us being
Yeah.
like, please, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Not.
the biggest concern for trying to claim ownership of that bit of land is there's an incredibly militaristic empire that exists over here that are currently
Yeah.
busy with a civil war, but once they get done with that civil war, yeah.
Yeah. They've already taken this bit.
Yes, they have already taken that bit.
What? They'll probably, which means they're either going to go that way or that way.
Well, it just means you need some
And,
good
you
old
know.
diplomacy, and that's probably not Grim's forte, but it's fine.
Really?
Is there anything about it
Really?
people
You really
get
think Grim
involved
may
in?
not be the best diplomat? What on earth led you to that sort of
Like,
idea?
Grim under the bus, but
I mean,
Yeah.
is she wrong though?
I still do the most talking for some reason, so.
I know, and I don't know
It's
why
because-
I feel on this.
It's because he's the face of the guild.
yeah, but
Oh.
also he's the most like forward, even if he's not necessarily the best at it.
Yeah.
I feel like this is not a good combination. We really need to
Yeah.
rethink some things here.
Arya, yeah, 'cause
The-
Arya doesn't like talking. Kelariis doesn't like talking.
Yeah,
Get a PR
Elizabeth's
person.
like-
you lost your
Close
charismatic
door.
person who liked talking. Now you just got a charismatic person who doesn't like talking.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Oh, Grim doesn't mind talking too much. He's
No,
just,
not Grim.
No, Kelariis.
I'm charismatic.
I was gonna say, you're not charismatic.
Nice try, buddy.
It's a terribly
You're
charismatic
blunt. That no.
Oh.
Maybe by the charismatic person we meant the person who uses, charisma a lot, i.e. the paladin.
Well, a lot is maybe
Well.
a stretch.
More than Grim.
Wow,
More than a fighter.
it's fine.
Or
Well,
a
if it
ranger
doesn't
for
look-
that matter.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Arya, how's that charisma score?
Uh, it's not good.
Don't worry about it.
It's not awful, but it's not good.
The edge is a little sharp.
Yeah.
Hey.
Anyway.
Yeah, anyway. We are very.
What
inside.
you guys are standing out on a road in the rain. What do?
Let's keep going to that village.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're gonna keep going to the village. Okay.
I so want to track this lady, but she
Right.
doesn't.
Can you?
Okay.
I was gonna say, can you send Lyra? And I was just like, bad idea. Never mind.
Just Hunter's Mark and get like the ability to track her for some
Forever.
time.
I mean, you can. That is a use of Hunter's Mark.
I mean, we can locate people. Can we not?
We can locate people. Actually,
So
Like, yeah,
Problem
within
solved.
1,000 feet. It's like,
we can kind of locate people.
They're very close to us. Okay.
I feel like tracking is the better option there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't know where like she's gonna. Cause she just got here.
I'll think about it, right? If we're going to where she is from, that means either we'll leave and find her still at her original destination, which is probably, that other, or we'll meet her on the road, or she'll get back before us.
Yeah, but I'm more interested in what she's doing. Like,
I mean, you could stalk her around town.
Yeah, but that's weird.
and also like I don't want to know what she's doing here necessarily. I want to know like what she's doing here and the other.
I mean,
You could stalk her when
Yeah.
she leaves.
Right, but I don't know when
I
she
don't
leaves.
like that you keep saying stalk her because so we're trying to avoid that.
I mean that is
Well,
what we'd be doing.
I mean
we'll
that
just
is
call
what
it
I was
shadowing.
Yep.
shadowing.
That's what they do in the famous five.
But we're not like the famous five, because for one, there's 4 of us.
Wow.
Well, 6.
Look,
of
I
us.
was trying to put it in context of a
Levi
famous
and the
adventuring
dragon.
party.
It's fine. We'll just
What is it? We could be the dirty half dozen.
the dirty half dozen if she
Wow, this
ignored.
gets worse and worse.
There, half a dozen.
Yeah, haven't you ever heard of the dirty dozen?
Oh.
No.
Anyway,
It's a literary term that means it's just like when you have an arbitrary group of heroes together. It's like the dirty dozen.
Kind of.
That's what I'm
You
gonna
don't
call That's what I'm gonna call the Fellowship of the Ring from now on.
based on
Yeah,
a
pretty
famous
much.
cowboy novel, I believe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it comes from Cowboy.
Oh, huh.
Interesting.
But anyway,
Learn something new every day.
yeah, you learn
Anyway.
something new every day. This is what I get for minoring in English at school. Like useless facts.
Yay!
No.
Hooray for school, teaching you useless facts.
Yay.
So, what are you doing? Because currently you're just getting wet.
Wait,
I guess we'll just go to the village.
You're just gonna walk there.
Well, we don't have anything else, do we? Don't have a ride.
That's what I'm asking.
I can't remember. Wait, I can't. Did we leave our stuff at the?
No,
can't
you
remember if
you
we-
still have horses and stuff.
I guess there's no reason not to take them.
Well, except going through forest on horses is kind of a pain, but
Yeah.
Well, we
Yeah.
know we know how far it is, and we know there's going to be a road.
I mean,
Or
it's
at
up to you.
least- Like, it's at the very least, there's going to be like a trodden path. Like,
Okay.
If there's a caravan that goes up and down.
So you're riding.
It seems so.
Okay.
Like,
Arya, make me a survival check just for navigation purposes.
Only I had my dire mount.
One day, we're getting there.
So with very little effort, you manage to ride through the forest. It takes a little while, but with the aid of your ranger, you travel the short distance, and eventually come across a small, the beginnings of a small worn path that leads to a small village. Ignore the castle in the background. It was the best I could find.
Hang on, I'll deal with it. Don't worry. Okay, here we go. We're gonna deal with the castle.
Don't worry.
I'm concerned.
There we go.
Wow.
Okay.
Professional.
So yeah, you come across a number of wood and mud huts with thatched roofs that have appear to have been put up. They've got thin weave fences leading around them. One of them seems to have like a small lean-to outside, and there's like a small number of chickens like cuddled up underneath it out of the rain.
Wow.
It takes you probably like a good portion of the day to get to this village, so it's probably like approaching the afternoon by the time you arrive in this village.
Is there anyone out and about?
Give me a perception check. Okay. Looking around, you don't see anyone sort of immediately outside. It's understandable. It's raining. It's also the middle of winter, so there's not exactly like crops and stuff to be tended to. But you notice that in one of the houses there is what looks like a lantern light or firelight coming from one of the windows.
That's another thing that's kind of weird about it. Why would you set up a village like when it's about to be winter? Surely you'd start that kind of thing in the spring.
Well, sometimes you don't have the luxury of waiting, I'd imagine.
Oh, I suppose.
Yeah, it also takes time. You've got to get the village up and running before you can start planting crops.
Yeah, alright, fair.
Yes, one of the houses has a lantern light.
Shall we just politely ask what this village is about? Then, like, if there's any facilities.
I feel like the answer is probably gonna be no, because it looks like just kind of starting out.
I don't assume there will be anything, but I'm kind of hoping to get a better picture of the. Well, I want to say command structure, but that might be a little. Of the government, like of how it's governed.
The organization of it?
Yeah.
What you're
It's
gonna
like-
get is a peasant in a field who's just gonna shout at you and go, "I told you, we're an anarcho-syndicalist commune. We take
I was
it in
gonna say-
turns to act as a sort of executive officer for the week."
I was gonna say, this place low-key reminds me of like a cult or something.
This is that village from Monty Python.
It is, yeah.
I can just imagine King Arthur pointing at the castle and goes, "Whose castle is that?" And the woman just going, "Oh, no one lives there."
Yeah, but that aside, shall we just knock and hear what they have to say?
Yeah, and scare the shit out of them? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
into
know
it.
if we should be knocked. Like,
I mean,
wanna...
But what do you
The
want to
thing
do? Like sneak up on them?
No,
I was
let
gonna
me be
say.
clear. That was out of character. I think we should go and knock.
Yeah, we should go and knock.
The secondary comment was out of character.
Oh yeah, we should knock because they'll be a little bit like, oh, what's going on here?
But it's better than us not just like standing here not
Yeah.
saying anything.
Yeah. Also, if we knock and explain, then they'll calm down.
Maybe
'Cause
I'll
they'll
stay
be like,
back
oh, it's
with...
fine.
I'll stay back with Lyra, because I don't want them to open the door and there's suddenly a fucking wolf.
Okay,
Is it
fair.
already is it already evening? By the way.
It's getting towards evening, yes.
Wow, that so it took a whole day to get here.
Yeah.
That was not what I was hoping.
Well, more like 6 hours, something like that.
Oh, but the sun sets earlier because of the time of the
Yes.
year as well, so.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes
Well,
sense.
so much for getting up early, I guess.
Well, we did get up early. It's just the days are short.
Oh,
Make your own, son.
you're on.
Yeah, quick. How long till winter solstice?
Oh yes, it's yeah. So in terms of like what the actual hour of the day is, it's probably like 5 o'clock.
No, that's not that bad. Yeah, if you want to go knock, I will stand with Arya for the moment because the Dragonborn may also be intimidating. That's a
Yeah,
good
me and Kelariis will just like maybe we'll go like look around the exterior of the
Also-
town or something.
I mean, by
Yeah,
that
I
logic,
like
we're
that.
all a little bit weird and intimidating.
Yeah,
How
but I feel
about-
like you and Graham are the least intimidating.
Also, how about I hand you my shield and my my weapon?
Just keep it on your back.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like, I don't think that that's weird. As a traveling, like, especially if you explain you're a mercenary, I think that that's not the weirdest thing. But if you really want me to take it, I'll take it.
I don't want to give these poor folk any more reason to freak out.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take
I'm
it if you want me to.
Yeah, if you take the shield, and I'll just put my like my weapon in the bag of holding for a minute.
Okay. I will take your shield. I will hold on to
And
it.
after
for
a
you.
minute, I pull it out regardless of now.
Yeah. Grim hands you his shield, and you're now holding a buckler.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I probably just like, if we're on horses, I probably just put it onto
Yeah.
my horse, onto a bag or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
Grim hops off the horse.
Am I doing this on my own?
I thought Elizabeth was going with you.
Yeah, I'll go with.
Okay.
I
Elizabeth
don't wanna
hops
let
off
you
as
do
well.
talking all on your own.
Yeah.
Well, might be more effective than you might imagine.
Well, you know what? Maybe I'll do the talking for once.
Less.
Well, I will be curious to see how this pans out.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sure it won't end in
Let's
disaster.
not let them do their thing.
Okay. So as the two on horseback sort of like pull away, you guys walk up to this lit door and knock on the door.
Lit, fam.
And that's
yes.
where we'll take a break.
Saying that.
Ah,
So yeah, we will see you all after the break.